Hello, good morning. My name is Ricardo Mota. I'm here with Luís Silva and with Nuno Monteiro, as well as Tracy and Dave McCabe. We'll be discussing Invictus Game Jam. Luís was one of the organizers. I'm going to have him explain his point of view regarding the investment made. What does he expect to get from the investment on the probably the biggest game jam we had here in Portugal? Then I have Nuno, which won the game jam. And we also have, we're lucky enough to have the developers of Dark Side Detective, so Tracy and Dave. We just invited them over, so it's pretty much an impromptu presentation. But they also organize game jams, and Dark Side Detective actually came up from a game jam. So I'm going to start with you. So please tell us a little bit of the... That was not awkward at all. Yeah, we just invited you, and let's keep it real. So I'm just going to start with you. What's the story on first organizing game jams and how Dark Side Detective came out to be, please?
So I sit on the board of Gamecraft, which is an organisation that runs game jams in Ireland and abroad. Back, I guess, maybe 6-7 years ago, there wasn't much of a development scene or game development scene in Ireland. So a bunch of us got together and started trying to organise jams to get just more going, create a sense of community, get more people working together, get more games out there, so our developers got better. They've been going on for a number of years, and then they started kind of spreading it. Like, we were often running them in Dublin and Belfast and Cork, and then Galway, Pulse College in Galway, and Chris Colson and Paul Conway organised a game jam over there. And that's the game jam that Darkside was born at. So it was like an 8-hour-long game jam. The theme was hidden worlds, and they created the idea that there was this house, and there was a girl who had been trapped in this hidden world through this mystical doorway in the attic. And that's kind of how Darkside was born. It was because it was a game jam, it was kept really small. It was like 4 screens. It was 3 characters, maybe 4 characters. It was a handful of very simple puzzles. There was no animation. There was no voice acting. And it was all kept a really, really small, like 140 by 80 or something, that resolution with the screens. So it was all done really, really small. And because of that, because of all those constraints, it was a game that we could make on a bigger scale. Because a small team of 4 of us were able to put together a much larger version of that, because again, they didn't require lots of animation. It didn't require like huge hand-drawn backgrounds. It didn't require like superstar voice actors. So it could be made quite small because we scoped it small. And then because rather than making a 12-hour-long game, we made 6 45-minute-long cases, we could scope down the story and scope down the requirements across the board. And a lot of that, if we just sat down and went, hey guys, let's make an adventure game, we probably would have followed more of the modern conventions of lots of walking around, lots of voice acting, multiple ways to solve puzzles, very obscure solutions, and it wouldn't have gone anywhere. It wouldn't have done as well as Darkside did. So the game jam was what kind of give it its personality and its strengths.
Yeah, I think like game jams are really good because they kind of constrain you. When you go into something and you think you're going to build it, like you think you kind of have this infinite resources and infinite time, and you think you have like I can make all of the things. It's all of these kids going, I can make Skyrim. When you say to yourself, I've got 8 hours, and I've got like 1 coder, and I've got 1 artist, and I've got like 1 music person, you think very small and you scope something accordingly. I think if you look at like the design pyramid, the inverse design pyramid, where you can like come up with what is the core of a game, what is the absolute minimum thing that will actually function as this game. A game jam allows you to kind of do that and do that fast, and it kind of forces you to think about what is the minimum viable game, and it means you don't go mental and off the wall about thinking, and then we'll do this, and then we'll bring in the stop motion thing, and so I think it's a really great place to start things. Yeah.
One other thing that I've found from game jams is you can talk about making games with your friends and go, oh, this is a great idea, but having to work under that kind of pressure cooker for 8 hours, you'll figure out if you can actually work with someone and deliver a thing. If you can't, like, if you can't agree on something fast, that's going to happen when you're making a game for $500,000 or whatever. You're not going to decide on stuff. If like one of you gets angry and storms off for half a day, they're probably going to storm off for half the damn project. You learn a lot about how a person works, how dedicated they are, how well you and them click idea-wise and just process-wise from jamming with somebody. So it's a really, really good thing to do for that as well.
Thanks. Okay, so we were at Invictus Game Jam, which happened in Porto, and Luis was the main organizer. He works at Fabamaq, so please tell us, what is Fabamaq?
First of all, thank you for having us here. It's a really pleasure for us to be here in Lisbon Games Week. Fabamaq is a company. It was a startup till last year, but now we are 130 people. So we are a big company now. We are based in Porto. Our core business is development of software for casino. We have games in Philippines, we have games in Mexico, Cambodia, and also in other countries. But these are the main markets for us right now. And we want to develop also a culture inside of the company. We started last year. We only have 7 years, so we are growing a lot, as you can imagine. 130 people already is a lot of people to have working with us, and we try to develop our own culture based on the fact that everyone likes games in our company. Even though we don't create video games, everyone likes to play games. So we decided to create an event targeted to people that want to create games, because these people are really into games. So even though we don't create video games, they know how to create casino games, and they know the techniques, they know the methodology. Even though if they are developers, designers, that we also have in Fabamaq. So we decided to create this event also to impact Porto, because we are now in Lisbon and everything happens in Lisbon, okay, because it's the capital, it's normal. But we want to impact Porto City and to create also a big event for us in Porto, because right now a lot of technology companies are opening up in Porto. We have Euronext, we already had Bleep, Farfetch, and there's a little fight for the resources, and we are not so many in Porto. And we decided to create this event also to attract people to work with us, people that respond to stress and to creativity quickly and are very good working in a team. Because as you know, even though we're creating games and people have to sit in front of the computer all day, we work a lot between teams in Fabamaq. So it's really important for us to understand if the people that want to work with us are ready to this kind of culture that we have inside.
So Fabamaq already supports Porto Game Dev Meets, which is a monthly meeting of game developers. I'm a teacher. I teach at IPMAIA. I teach kids how to create video games, and I bring them there. So they go there, they do some networking, they showcase their own games, they watch other games being showcased, and Fabamaq has also been supporting that, right? Yes. Okay.
Yes, it's very important for us to, mainly because the organizers of this event are from Fabamaq, so we want to bring this culture to more people in Porto, because what we identify when we started to do the marketing strategy in order to recruit people is that people were organizing game jams, but they were little and without any support. Mainly Fabamaq only. So people only had money to pay the food for the participants, so we wanted to create something that people that were in the event, and Nuno can say something about that, I hope so, were really comfortable doing games in a weekend. Because can you imagine doing a game in a weekend without any support, without food, without people supporting you, people giving you some yoga classes that we have also.
Yeah.
Yes, Tai Chi.
Yeah.
Because what we understood in Fabamaq as we were creating our own culture is that we created a lot of internal programs in order to develop another skills. We have talent development in order to develop emotional intelligence, negotiation, people management. We have mentoring in order to bring people that enter in Fabamaq and to guide them, during the first year, and to help them achieve their own goals inside of the company, in order for them not to be lost, because we know that the first year in a company is very complicated. They have to adjust, they have to understand a car business that is not known, like, because who knows casinos, right? So we try to bring this identity for our own event. So we decided to have a lot of things going on, not only the production of the games, but at the same time we had a lot of talks. Some talks were really targeted to the participants, how to create a game jam, how to be organized during a game jam. We brought people from Fabamaq also to give them talks in order to how to create a game, how to be more responsive, how to do and work with the new methodology. So we thought it was really important not only to create an event, but also to show in this event our own identity as a company.
Okay, so one other thing, I've visited a few game jams. I try to be there for my students, say, come on, just try them. I think the concept is great because it forces them to work on a schedule, on a tight schedule. Okay, so I usually give them a lot of liberty when I'm teaching them how to create games. I go through the basics with them, and then okay, you have 40 hours left of our 60 hours. So create your own game. I set up a few sets of rules. They need to do the games need to have this, this, and this. But then pick your own game. Oh, can I do? Yeah, you can. But I didn't finish the question. I don't care. Go set your own goals. Stress yourself. Try your own limits and see. You'll have to manage a team of 3 or 4. But if you feel if you aim too high on the scope, you will need to rework on that, and it's okay to do so. I'd rather have you fail at that on my classes where I can, help you and cope with that failure, than on your first real project or on your first indie game. So I set them up for failure sometimes. It's okay to do that. Sure.
I think one of the really nice things as well is that people get very afraid to show their work, and you'll find that if you start making something, you'll put 6-8 months, a year or something like that before, and you'll kind of hoard it and be like, no, they can't see it, it's not finished yet. Whereas if you do a game jam, kind of the 2 days is over and it's just well, show it now, and it kind of gets you over that fear of just showing people your work and getting it out there and getting that feedback really fast. Sorry. Hey. Sorry, I didn't realize we were talking to the thing. That was all I had to say anyway.
I think the other thing that's nice about game jams is it's very easy to go, oh, I've got this great idea. It's going to be about this. It's going to be about an alien who comes to Earth, and it's all about him learning how to be a human. Oh, great idea. And then if you don't take that to, if you just sit there and percolate on that, that's all you'll ever have. And when you go to a game jam, halfway through you might go, oh yeah, but that idea is fun, but it's missing all these things that makes it work. And then you start thinking differently about ideas, and you start thinking differently about how to present a design or what you need to design, and it helps you create much more formed and fully formed designs you can then implement, which if you hadn't done game jams and you suddenly found yourself designing a game for a big studio, you might be like, a few days or a week or two in going, I am out of my depth because I've never done the bit where it goes from, I've got the idea, profit. And you need to, game jams will help you figure out that middle step of how to deliver on an idea and how to develop it to the point that it can be implemented by the rest of a team.
But even on that, Sorry, even on that though, you end up actually sitting down with a whole lot of your team. Sometimes I think when you start developing, you'll kind of like sit down as a designer and design something, or you'll sit down as a programmer and go and do this, or like actually, like, it's a really unique situation where, especially if you have someone like an audio person that's with you from the start, you get to like suddenly put like audio design in from the start, which is like an amazing liberty, and you'll realize actually the benefit of having an input from every single member of the team and all of these different disciplines. And also, like, people will throw those questions at you really fast because you have to get to the end. You don't have that time for messing around, and I think that's actually a really brilliant and really beneficial thing with game jams.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with Nuno. Was it your first jam? I take it wasn't, right? So what did you think set this one aside from the others on your own experience, beside the fact that you won, of course?
Hello. I wanted to say several things as you guys were speaking, but starting with what set this game jam apart. I've been to some game jams, and the thing that completely set this one apart was the organization. You had food all the time, you had a place you could rest, you had the distractions if you wanted to. We didn't use it because we were fully focused on the game, but you had
beds.
Yeah, you had beds. I had never seen that. Beds, mattresses, pillows, blankets, you had it all. Yeah, it was pretty cool. You had sessions teaching people how to do better on the time that you had to work on the game. You had relaxing sessions like Tai Chi and the yoga. It was pretty awesome, and everything worked. Like, as soon as we arrived, we had internet. That sometimes is a big issue on jams. Like, you get the clock is ticking, but someone doesn't have Unity, and there's no internet, so you have to download it, but you can't. Everything worked really great, and as you said on your talk, I think it's a great place to try something that you've been meaning to try, but you never get the time to do it, and having all the team there, it's great. And actually, in our case, it turned out really great because we had the situation that you mentioned. We had the Naja guy with us from the beginning, and it was crucial in the way that the game turned out, because the game focuses a lot on sound. And for instance, I'm just remembering now when we presented the game, another thing that went really great was sometimes the organization for the event is great, but when you need to present the game, it doesn't work because there's no projector or there's no columns, or and you might focus on something that then you can't change. You can't show to the jury, for instance, and the sound was a big part for us, and we had 2 huge columns when we were presenting that, so it worked out really well. Yeah.
So I've been to a few of them with my students. I try to bring them on whenever I can. There's a couple of things I noticed from given the investment from the organization is, since you had food on the table, you just need to get up, pick it up, and eat it. You had resting places. You had you're like 5 meters away from the beach, so you have the sea right there. So yeah, so as a member of the jury, what I found in the end was overall game quality for a game jam was way higher than I was used to. So that's a very interesting side project, you know, something on the dish. Just this is amazing from what you usually see on a game jam. The production value was terrific, was over the top. So this kind of set the bar for new game jams we do here in Portugal, or particularly in Porto. But there's always also one thing, which is the amount of projection. I think the company that invests on creating a game jam or an event such as this, it's huge on that moment, and it stays on, because a lot of the games, given their quality and their potential, a lot of the games will end up going through their own lifetimes and being published eventually, and it will always be a game that yeah, you hope so, yeah. It will always be a game that started out as a game jam, just the way that you presented Dark Side Detective, and you just mentioned, oh, this came up on this particular game jam. So I hope that's the case of your game, of your own game. But that is something that I don't know if you planned on that from the start. Okay, you planned on 130 participants and you have them. Okay, so this is, I was there. It is cool. So people just they're free to roam around, and okay, I can allow myself 20 minutes to relax, and it would just go back to work, and it would work better than for the most part. But anyway, as I was asking, you were counting on 130 participants. You had them. You were counting on good games. You were counting on probably hiring a few of the participants. Were you counting on that much exposure?
Well, for us, it was a surprise, given the fact that the applications to participate in the Game Jam were closed 1 month early. So we had 130 people 1 month early, and we were not expecting this because, I mean, Porto is not a city that happens a lot of things, so we were expecting to promote a lot in order to people to come and participate. But I think that the image of Fabamaq and the event that we tried to create helped a lot, because as you can see in a lot of pictures that are showing, we tried also to bring the community, not only people that like games, but people that don't understand anything regarding games, to join us, to be with us. The Tai Chi classes, the talks were open to everyone. The room that they were producing the games were open to everyone. People could enter, could see, could understand, because sometimes people, especially the people that are like 40 or 50, understand that games were only for kids, and we show them that games are for everyone, and that's why we try to achieve, to bring the community to the event, and ultimately to the Fabamaq.
It was open to the general public.
Yes, it was open. We wanted to create an event that could impact the city, not only the image of the company, but could help the city as well to bring this kind of culture to the general public that sometimes is hard. I think that one of the things that shocked me most, as I was yes, as I was in a lot of game jams, it was the quality of the games. I mean, the creativity that was surround the room. The people were so nice. I was a little bit afraid to be 48 hours with them. I mean, because like 130 people wake up in the middle of the night, what they would want, what they would ask me, and to my team.
Did they sleep at all?
So, I mean, some people were sleeping, but you can imagine it's 130 people. You have a lot of responsibility for them. And as in Fabamaq, we try to create this responsibility that for the people that work with us. We try to pass this identity also for people that were there, because also me, I didn't sleep too much, me and my team. So we try to be always prepared to answer. We wouldn't. I mean, one time the lights went off in the middle of the night for 2 minutes, and we were like, whoa, now it's going to be a flop. But no, it's like these things, everything could happen during the night, especially because there were only us in the building, and there's a huge building in Porto in front of the sea. So I was a little bit worried about that, but in the end everything was perfect. The environment was really, really great. Everyone was working in the night, really calm, really focused on their work, and I think that kind of creativity and the work that they did during the weekend showed in the presentation of their games. I was really, really happy with them.
So, and you also had great prizes. I mean, can you tell us what the victory brought you?
Yeah. One of the reasons that we decided to apply for this game jam, besides a trip to Porto, was that the main prize was a Nintendo Switch. But but we assumed that we would have to split the Switch by the team, but no, it was a Switch for each team member, and the teams could go up to 6 persons, so it was a really nice incentive to go there, and it was really awesome to get it. Yeah. I still am. No, I think that the prizes, of course we didn't go only for the prize, the environment only, I said only. The environment was great, and I think that your organization enabled the quality that we were talking about, by everything being there and being perfect and working. It enabled us as developers to keep focusing on the game if we wanted to, or take a walk through the beach at 6 a.m. to think stuff through, but everything worked really great because of the organization, I think, and the prizes of course were amazing.
Can I just also add one thing? The fact that we created an event in Porto, we rent a bus to pick up people in Lisbon to go to Porto, and because we didn't want to main central to Porto, we wanted to impact Porto and of course Portugal ultimately. So that was one of the things that we tried to do, to contact one people here that was from Lisbon, that knows everyone here regarding game jams, and to spread. And one night someone called me, "Oh, I'm in Lisbon drinking a glass of wine, and I'm talking about going to the game jam." And I was like, cool. And so that's why 1 month earlier the submissions were closed, and when we announced that they were closed, we received 100 people trying to go. So we were really surprised, because we could have even more people, but we didn't have any more space. So that's why they didn't allow. But we want to create next year an even bigger game jam. This time in our own building, because we are constructing our own building right now, in order to receive people and show them our home.
Okay, so of course. So that's where I was headed, actually, which is, do we have plans to have another one? So you already answered that.
Yeah, that was literally my question. When is it, and how do we sign up?
The next one, we think that the building will be prepared in April, and we will try to replicate the game jam, the second edition, and at the same time this one occurred. It was in September, so we're trying to manage the organization to be on September 2018.
Okay.
I hear you're running flights from Dublin to this next one. Is that correct?
A bus from Dublin, yeah.
You can come with us. Okay, and of course expectations now are really high. We have this notion, and it was really a challenge for us to create these events outside of our building, of course, because we rent a place. We have a lot of support also from the politician side, from City Hall, from Porto. So it was really good for us to be in a partnership with the politicians as well, because that showed that this kind of community has the support from the public's administration. So it's very good for us. And also we have partnerships with Comic-Con. We offer tickets as well. And okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Wrap this up.
Okay, and also we have partnerships with a lot of companies in order to provide the internet, in order to provide the food and this kind of stuff. So we want to create an even more cooler event next year.
Okay, I think this is all we have time for. In the name of Rubber Chicken Games, in the name of Lisbon Games Week and Indie Dome, I thank you all for coming, especially you on such a short notice. Thank you all for coming. Please visit us. We'll be sharing this online soon. So thank you all very much.